There are many different creatures that inhabit the world of Kenshi. They range from normal humans like you and me, to the most terrifying thing you've ever fucking seen coming at you with 13-inch teeth. The beauty of it all is that it allows you to choose your start and make your character from scratch. But what is the best character to start with? We start with the Greenlander, the spitting image of a human. These men dominate the world of Kenshi, with most nations having them as the dominant race. They have a base limb threshold of only 100 points, which is pretty average among other races. They also have a 20% buff to farming, cooking and science. Although these buffs are laughable, they also come with the benefit of not having any debuffs. They are a true all-rounder. If I had to give the best playstyle for a Greenlander, it would be a jack of all trades. It has no debuffs and are quite apt at combat. The appropriately named Scorchlander is the Greenlander's overcooked cousin. They are a rarer sight than Greenlanders and have a reputation as social misfits. They share the same health as a Greenlander, but they come with some changes. A small change is that they can consume raw meat straight from an animal's body, which makes them great as survivalists. The real change though is the stat buffs. They come with a 20% buff to athletics, stealth, armour and weapon smithing and dodging, with a nice little 10% boost to dexterity. This sounds extremely overpowered so far, but the benefits have a cost. Taking the Scorchlander will net you a 20% debuff to farming, cooking, labouring and a 10% debuff to strength. If you can manage that, they can be very powerful. I would either say a martial artist or a ninja playthrough for the Scorchlanders. The next race is Sheeks. Sheeks are bred for one thing: war. They are massive in size and natural warriors. Their health limb threshold is 125 thanks to the bone plating on their skin. With this, they also have a nice 20% buff to toughness, melee attack and a 10% buff to strength. This comes at a massive cost of a 20% debuff to dexterity, athletics, stealth, farming, thieving, robotics, science, labouring and dodging. This forces penalties for anything but combat. My go-to playstyle for a Sheek is pretty much simple: a war machine. Send this beast to the front line and watch them wreak havoc. Coming straight from the Western Hive, the Hive Prince is a very good choice for beginning Kenshi. They hold a lean limb threshold at 80, which makes them slightly squishy. They make up for it though with their staggering buffs, with a massive 20% buff to lockpicking, perception, toughness, dexterity, athletics, stealth, thievery and first aid, with the only negatives being a 20% debuff to labouring and strength. They are very good for beginners not only for the buffs, but the Hivers have a slow metabolism eating rate than all the other races. If I had to give a playstyle recommendation, it would be a rogue/thief type build for the many stealthy buffs the Hive Prince gets. Also hailing from the Western Hive are my personal favourite race to play as, the Hive Soldier drone. Not only do they look badass, their sole purpose is to eliminate all threats, like a stickman Terminator. The debuffs are quite crippling though, with 20% debuff to perception, farming, first aid, armour and weapon smithing, robotics, cooking, science and engineering. But not only do they have a 20% buff to toughness and melee attacks, they also have a head health of 200, which is double the humans, but this does come with the downside of not being able to wear a helmet. I would give this playstyle the same as a Sheek, made for battle and to kill everything. The last of the bug boys is the Hive Worker drone. Although they are quite cute to the average person, their true purpose is for the mines. They also have the lowest limb threshold out of all of the playable races, having 75 all around, with the only exception being the head, which is 125. With them being pretty much a broom with arms, it comes a bit shockingly they're made for manual labour. They have 20% buffs to toughness, dexterity, athletics, stealth, farming, thievery, labouring, turrets and engineering, with the downside being a 20% debuff to cooking, science and strength. With this being known, it is best if they are kept as base bitches, but for those looking for a more active playstyle, I would suggest a ranged build with a backup sabre. The last on the list is definitely the most interesting, the skeleton. These bad boys have been around for thousands of years and are not afraid to throw down. They have the highest limb threshold out of all races with 200 around all limbs, and they also bleed out slower. They also have the nice ability of not needing to eat. I can already hear you saying, Mongrel Chad, shouldn't these be the beginner's choice because they're so good? Surprisingly, no. Skeletons have two big downsides. Number one, they do not heal from medkits. They must be healed by having very expensive robot repair kits, not to mention after every fight they can have wear and tear damage that can only be repaired at the extremely rare and expensive robot repair bench. Number two is that for a big portion of the map owned by the Holy Nation, the guards there will exterminate skeletons on sight. They do have some nice buffs though, with 20% to heavy weapons, 20% to robotics, obviously, and 20% to turrets, with a 20% debuff to stealth, thievery and dodging. These robots makes excellent base defense, with them being able to be left on a turret 24/7, but for people looking for a more active role, I would advise a heavy weapons build, as that is their only combat buff. Thank you for watching, I hope you liked the video. Please like, subscribe and comment what you want to see next. Have a good one.